What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of the Manchester United Fans Corner. I'm your host, Shegu. And guys, it's great to be with you today. It's Monday, and as usual, we're here to discuss Manchester United. So, guys, let's quickly jump right into what we have today. But before I do that, let me just say thank you guys for constantly being with us. We truly appreciate you. Every Monday, you know, we are here to analyze something that has to do with the future of our club. And really, it's great that you guys are here showing us your love. We truly appreciate you. And that's why we do what we do, really. So, guys, let's move on to today's topic. Today's topic is going to be about 7 reasons why the likes of Nagelsmann, the likes of Enrique won't fit into this current United dynamics. That's the topic. 7 reasons why I believe United going for the likes of Nagelsmann or Enrique won't fit into our current dynamics. And now in this episode, we'll be saying certain things that will be touchy about United, touchy about even the managers. But are they the truth? Yes, they are the truth. And so far it's the truth. And so far it is what we are meant to be saying. We will say it because, you know, we are going through a period in our club where we're going to be making important decisions, right? Managers, very important decision. The midfield, which I have done analysis of it many times, that it is one of the most underinvested areas of our game since after Sir Alex Ferguson, right? We're going to be making massive investment in that area in the summer transfer window. So these discussions are very important discussions. And so we are not going to be shying away from having those touchy discussions around those topics, because it's something that will chart the course of our club at least for the next 2 years, minimum of 2 years, right? So, guys, it's very important that we discuss it and that we don't shy away from this kind of thing. So let's move on to it. 7 reasons why Nagelsmann and Enrique will not fit at the club, current dynamics. Now, let me start by saying that everything we will say here is not going to be a damning verdict that the managers we are bringing are not good. Clearly, Enrique won the Champions League last year. Enrique is a fantastic manager. Enrique is a manager that has showed that he can succeed. He can build something and succeed, right? He has shown that work at PSG is quite clear. How he got PSG that long-awaited Champions League football and how they play beautiful football currently is clear. Nagelsmann also had his own young, amazing career. Currently, the manager of the German national team. It's clear. These are good managers. But you guys know our motto here. It's not about how good the manager is. It is about, is there a match between the manager and the current dynamics at the club? A manager might be good, but might not fit into the current dynamics of our club. And I think we've seen it throughout history after Sir Alex Ferguson that we can say we've had good managers. We've not had bad managers, really. But something doesn't just fit into the current dynamics of our club. And we've looked at several reasons why this current club will not fit into the current dynamics at United. So, guys, let's just press it. Number 1, the first reason why the likes of Enrique Nagelsmann won't fit into the current dynamics at United is that United is structurally chaotic. That's the first point. United, as we speak, is structurally chaotic. Let me tell you why. This is a club that after Sir Alex Ferguson, you can say maybe under 2 ownership in terms of the footballing area, Glazers and Ineos, they've always started with, we have a long-term vision. We want to go with this manager for a long-term vision. And all of a sudden, along the way of the long-term vision, yeah, there are always going to be ups and downs on the vision. But along the way, they pull the rug on that, their so-called long-term vision. It's quite clear. The average duration of all the managers that have stayed after Sir Alex Ferguson is 18 months. What that means is first year, average is 18 months. So what it means is first year, we let them have their way. And most of the managers we brought after Sir Alex Ferguson, at least a good number of them have had good first seasons. For example, Mourinho had a good first season. We won the Europa League in his first season, won the Carabao, right? We had even Ten Hag, fantastic first season. I think we got to 2 finals. We only won the Carabao, right? Against Newcastle. We won that. And it was amazing first season. Even Ole had a very good start. We've always had good starts. And that's what it means by that 18 months. But after the first year of 12 months, averagely, the second 6 months, there are not challenges. and we cut short our long-term project. And it's not even about sacking the managers, because many of these managers deserve to be sacked, right? So let's say some of them deserve to take the sack, right? At the moment you took the sack. But it's also about the nature of the managers we brought in, right? In terms of, we cannot chart a course after 13 years after Sir Alex Ferguson. We can't really chart a course and say this is exactly the identity of football United wants to implement by bringing these managers, because these managers have always had different philosophies, different approaches to the game. And so sometimes we now have a squad as a result of this that is mixed with a lot of footballing ideas, a lot of footballing philosophies without a clear idea of how we want to play the game. Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho to Ole to Ten Hag to Amorim, and even now currently that we want to select a manager, is still going to be a different kind of football. So it is not like this one comes, dump his own, this one come dump his own, this one come dump his own, and everything is mixed together. So there's no a clear idea of how we want to play football. So it's structurally chaotic. And even when you look and say, okay, the new owners are now trying to implement a kind of football. They are not trying to do their own way, to build their own structure. The fact is, even the current squad under the new ownership, they've bought players for two different managers in how many years? They bought players for Ten Hag before they was let go. They obviously had bought players for Ruben Amorim before he was let go. And even currently, we are still hearing, based on report, that even within them structurally, they are still even not clear of who they want to be the next permanent manager. So some say, based on report, a section like Ratcliffe said they want Carrick to be. Fantastic job Carrick has done so far. Another section is said they want Nagelsmann or Enrique. Now, it's normal. You can have managers and you can dispute about who you want to take the job. But the fact is, these three managers I've mentioned are playing different kind of football. So it's to show you that number one point is solid. This club, in terms of footballing structure, is still chaotic. We don't really know how we want to play football. There's no way you will see all this and say, this is how United wants to play football. We just make assumptions about how we want to play football. But when you look at the data, you look at the way things have gone, up till now, it doesn't show how we want to play football. So it's a very structurally chaotic side. Now, I know that there's a lot to talk about, but I think the first point is quite clear. So United doesn't have a clear idea of how to play football. Our approach over the years after Sir Alex Ferguson has always been a search for a savior over having a correct system. So we keep choosing saviors, looking for saviors over having a correct system. And in today's football, from my own understanding, you might disagree, you might agree, I believe I would like to have a system. The system supersedes the savior mentality. Oh, one person will just come, we just implement it and everything works. No, I better have a system. I don't just want to just bring anybody, don't keep trying managers till it works. 13 years has passed. Second point. The United squad currently, that's the second reason why the likes of Enrique, Nagelsmann may not be a good fit for United, is the United squad currently is not suitable for elite tactical systems. We've seen it throughout recent history, clearly throughout recent history. And people have always also said it. I think the phrase that we've constantly had whenever we want to sack a manager or whenever a manager is not doing well is we return to the basics. So we've seen that whenever a manager comes to United and tries to play transition football, don't have more of the possession, stay in the mid to low block, hit on the counter attack. For some way, somehow, that's the best way we play football. But whenever a manager now says, let me build on this, let me make us more of a dominant side, everything seems to crumble. Let me bring in some superior tactical instructions that, for example, a high press, we tend to fumble under the Ten Hag, 4-2-4 high press. How that we were exposed like nobody's business, right? Sometimes we say, okay, under Erik, let's even do counter pressing systems. Under Ragnick, let's even do counter pressing systems. Our counter press did not even have any way. Let's even do a high line. Our defense could not jump up early enough. And so we're always caught in wrong situations. We're always exposed between the midfield and the defense. So we've always seen that whenever a manager comes in and tries to say, let's do it normal, everything seems to work. But the moment he says, let me institute something higher, a higher system, everything seems to fall. And that's why for me, I'm like, when we've seen this about our club, it's not a bad thing. You have seen the trend. Why don't you just stick with a manager that will stick to the basics? Why do you want to now go and start getting the Nagelsmans, the Enrique? I think you guys watch Enrique's game against Chelsea. You watch the PSG's games. It's high pressing, man. And for him to do that, you know what it means? It's either having going to waste a lot of time trying to train the players on board how to do the high pressing system. And when they don't get it, we might lose some games along the line. Or he will now decide he wants to buy players that will now fit the high pressing system, that will fit the possession kind of football that he wants to play. That's Enrique. Nagelsmann might say, I want a high pressing side, guys that run like bulldog, guys that are in diamonds, that press, that do everything. The fact is that like going to now waste time to train the exact boys that are here who have proven that they might not be able to do it. Some of them are proven in other dispensations they cannot be able to do it. And then we lose and we let him go. Right? Or he now start clamoring that he wants signings to play exactly what he wants to play. So why do we want to go through that route again? Why don't we just stick with a manager, as we have said, that sticks with the basics? And let's stick to the basics and see where the basics leads us to. Right? Yeah. Number three. There was a recent report about the financial situation of United. I would you guys to try and look at the report. Athletic released that report. Try and get to read that report. And I think it was very clear about even the statements, the financial statements of United. That's on SEC, that's SEC. Look at the breakdown of United's issues. I came across the document and I read it. And I'm beginning to understand some of the things is that an overall, if you bring in those kind of managers, Enrique, you bring in those kind of managers like Nagelsmann, we cannot overhaul, because these managers want us to overhaul the playing squad, and they want it as quick as possible. See the work that Campos did with Enrique at PSG, right? So even if Nagelsmann is the one to come and Vivell wants to create a squad for Nagelsmann, to get their perfect squad, they will need to overhaul the squad quickly. United doesn't have the finances to overhaul the squad as quick as those managers want. We don't have the squad. So we may now end up in a situation where we will say, okay, every season, every transfer window, we go for 3 players that will fit the system. And that rate might be so slow for the managers that we want to bring in to quickly use those and get results. So why are we wasting our time again, I repeat, when we see that we don't have the finances to quickly overhaul the squad or to quickly get them the perfect squad they want to deliver what they want to deliver? Why are we wasting our time saying we want to go for those managers? We have to count the costs and look at it if we are able, to get them what they exactly want. Number 4, the fourth reason why I believe United it may not make sense for United to go for the likes of Enrique and Nagelsmann, despite them being good managers, is because United is desperate to win the Premier League. The fans are desperate, the owners are desperate. And so I think the idea of a process is a mirage currently. United doesn't want a process. We want to win now. And so if you ask an average United fan, how many years are you willing to give a new manager to do all what he wants to do and get us the Premier League? I'm telling you, averagely you will hear maybe 2 years. There's no time for, as I said, buying players, telling players it's time for the process. Let's be honest with ourselves. Frankly, a lot of United fans, if you ask them, between getting the Premier League next season, or let's say next 2 seasons, or waiting 5 years, build in a process and get the Premier League, a lot of United fans will choose We'll choose immediately. Even though it means that getting after 5 years, you now keep winning. People just want to. The club wants to win the Premier League, and I think it's quite due. And so my main point here is the idea of waiting for a process for a manager to implement his playing style to get everything going. I don't think United has that patience, and I think we've seen it. The average duration, as I said earlier, for a manager at this club after Sir Alex Ferguson is 18 months. That means people are highest if they give you more than 18 months. It means you are either second, roaming around towards first, right? And if it's not that, if it's that you're trying to do a lot of work to get your team to the right way with the limited transfer budgets, with the limited speed in overhaul for those kind of managers that are coming in, then I think that manager will just get the sack as soon as possible. We'll get the sack as soon as possible. Number 5. The 5th reason why the likes of Nagelsmann, Enrique will be a wrong fit based on the current United dynamics is the boardroom dynamics of United. I think first and foremost, let me address one of the boardroom dynamics in the sense of United can promise a manager. As I said, there's no time. They can promise a manager that don't worry, we are patient with you. We will give you time to build. We'll tell the likes of Enrique, don't worry. We know it's going to be a project. As usually as they used to say, you will come in and be. But the fact is, don't believe that. You should be wise enough. This club is desperate to win. So the promises of the likes of Jim Ratcliffe doesn't hold any water. We've seen some of the promises he has made. It doesn't really. So we already know that we want it quick. 2 years, you are given 2 years to deliver the Premier League. If not the Premier League, at least give us second. Let's even know that, okay, maybe that's a room for a new year. Right? So the idea of it's a process, I think they will forget it. And these managers that we are bringing in are managers that to fix this United side to their own image, we need time. And United does not have time. Another boardroom dynamics is this issue of selecting a manager. I've said it before in previous episode. I'm also going to say it again today. The best in class doesn't necessarily mean getting the best from different worlds of football. And I believe that's a mistake they have made. Because when I begin to see how things were forming out, like the best in class does not mean bringing a Vivell from Red Bull Group, the history of being in Red Bull Group, Berrada from Man City, this one from Newcastle, an England national team setup, and bring those guys and say you want to find the best to go. The best in class must also have a complementary factor to it. Can they work together? Because all of a sudden, I'm beginning to see that there are a lot of divisions of ideas, especially over this manager stuff. And my fear is whichever side wins, right? If the owner decides to say, it's Michael Carrick, I hope those guys will immediately drop their notion of the other person they want to bring and support who the owner have selected. I hope so. And give him the necessary players so that there will not be issues around, let's sign this player. No, this player is good. Because I believe that the manager and the sporting director need to have very close relationship. Right? Very close relationship. And if you are to follow the report, that even based on the report that I read, that even the sporting director is clamoring for another person from what the owner is clamoring for. If that report is true, then there might be an issue there. We know the last manager that was brought in was not fully supported by the sporting director. So if the owner wants to impose who he wants to bring in, there might be an issue. So these are the boardroom issues that I'm like, these managers that are coming in, it's going to be a big issue. Even the one that is currently this caretaker manager is going to be a big issue, really. Now, number 6. The 6th reason why I believe the likes of Enrique and Nagelsmann might not necessarily be a good choice for United is because we've always had this, and we've had from even the board, make use of the players you have. People will say make use of the players you have. These managers don't make use of the players they have. Yeah, different degrees. But the fact is, you cannot call Enrique to your side and say make use of the players he has. It doesn't make sense. And these guys, even if they decide to, okay, let's say one miracle happen, they decide to make use of the players that they have, the fact is their fundamental system, they will not change it. You can't bring somebody in and say, oh yeah, now, we're not winning with this, trying to play possession football. Let's now use that kind of football. They will not change it. I think if you look at the history of Enrique, look at the history of Nagelsmann, one point in their career, they have been referred to that golden word called stubborn. These people are stubborn managers. They are not managers that you can push around and say, you know what, you don't do this, do this. So why are we now wasting our time when we know that we don't have the finances to quickly turn over, total overhaul of the score to fit what they want? Why are we not going for them? And when they now come and say change or no change, it doesn't make sense. So this is the sixth reason. Let's just, let's do away and stick with the one we have. The one that is able to make use of the players that are available. Right? These guys are not yes men. The Nagelsmann, the Enriquez are not yes men. These are people that they are coming to impose their own ideology on the club. Is the club willing to do that? Is the sporting director willing to allow that to happen? Or there will be clashes of opinions and ultimately leading to the sack of one of them. Right? Either the sporting director or the manager. So these are the issues we need to address. And lastly, Michael Carrick. I think Michael Carrick is a very big reason why, and that's the last reason why I believe going for those people might be risky. In the sense of, we've seen consistent wins under Michael Carrick, and it's looking as if the future is bringing something good. And so there's a risk of you bringing a new manager in. And maybe when the new manager comes in, the new manager now tries to implement certain things. And at the beginning, they struggle. United fans, the media will say, oh, you have to go be a new manager in. When you know that like Carrick was already doing something and was winning, the players were enjoying the football under him. So you don't think I'm big a new manager to now implement a new system. Right? And now the players are now struggling. And ultimately, you will just see that with time, the pressure will ultimately, especially if Michael Carrick has not gotten a job after that, right? Immediately after leaving United, it might be difficult to see that he doesn't get a job. But in case he doesn't get a job, the pressure might be so high that you end up even sacking the one you brought to bring him. So why then bring and not try that experiment? Why don't you give him the job? So these are the major reasons why I believe the current dynamics of United, it's difficult to see how those men will come in and implement what they want to implement and succeed with the limited time, with the limited patience, with the chaotic structure footballing wise that this club has. And some people might say, oh, you are saying this, are you not United fan? The fact is that you are United fan does not mean you cannot see the truth. That's why you are United fan does not mean you cannot say the truth. Right? I love this club and that's why I do what I do. As I said many times, I've supported this club for a long period of time and I see clearly what is going on at the club. And so it's the best way forward. Best way forward. Right? So for me, I'll say, whether it's my own personal decision or not, whether it's something that I like or not, but I think it has to be realistic to see that the option here for United should be Michael Carrick. Yeah, I'm not saying he's the best manager. I'm not saying if I was a sporting director or the owner, I would choose Michael Carrick. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, objectively, looking at the reasons I've mentioned, it is a lot more risky getting those guys. Right? Looking at the current dynamics of United, I say, let's just stick with who we have here. And we'll support him. As United fans, support him. And we analyze how he's improving us and where we need to improve and how we need to get to the promised land, essentially. So, guys, let me have your opinion on this episode. 7 reasons why it might be very, very risky for United to go for the likes of Enrique and Nagelsmann. Right? So let me have an opinion on this episode. I know you agree, disagree. Let's have that discussion. It's very, very important to have that discussion. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And ultimately, don't forget to share this video to your loved ones, fellow fans. Until we see you next time. Bye.